In this Roblox scripting tutorial for beginners, I am doing a code explanation of a recent video I did. As you can see here, Andrew couldn't get it to work. So this video will show you how you can troubleshoot your code and scripts to get things working fast. Here, we have our script for the tapping simulator clicker. Let me show you what it should do. When you click the button, it should increase the counter value next to taps. You can see it's working. So let's break it and go through some possible problems you may have. First, since this is a screen GUI, there is nothing in the workspace that controls this clicker. So we don't need to look in there. Everything should be under the starter GUI. The logic is, if you're clicking a button, then the script for it should be with the button. Unless you are using events in a player script. In our case, everything is inside the starter GUI. So let's focus on that. We have two screen GUIs to check. First is this taps GUI. This has the counter that we are trying to increase when we click the button. The other screen GUI, we call clicker GUI. It is the GUI for this clicker. This GUI has the local script inside it, which is the script that controls the clicking and updates the taps GUI. This script, I added more code to. However, for this tutorial, I commented all of this out. The other local script is the working script for this tutorial. So let's check that. Notice the value near my cursor is set to 1. This means it is going to increase the taps by 1 each click. Let's check it. Yes, it did increase it by 1. Back in our script, let's confirm this by changing the value to 10. Now it should increase each time by 10. So what I am actually doing here is troubleshooting. Although it's obvious that this is the correct script. When troubleshooting a problem, we have to know for sure. And you do this by ruling each possible problem out one at a time. Okay, we are updating the correct script. So let me explain this code and show you what can go wrong here. So you know what to check. Button start is a local variable. This name can literally be anything you want. What you call your variables is up to you. In programming, it's usually best if you name it something meaningful. Image button is the name I called the button. See over here under the clicker GUI. If I rename this, I need to also change it in my script. To show you, I'll rename it to my button. And in my script, I will also change it to my button. Notice in our script, we have 3 lines under the name button start. That is telling you that the program doesn't know about button start yet, because there is no local variable declaration for it. Since I called the variable anything, I will need to change it in the other 3 places as well. Notice the program still works, even when we call the variable anything. And also change the button name. However, if we have a capital letter in one place, and not in the other, then it doesn't work. In the output, it actually states, my button is not a valid member of screen GUI. So you need to be carefully checking for exact spelling, and always check capital letters, as they do matter. Let's now confirm this. I will change the image name to include a capital, so that it is the same as our script. Hopefully, you can now avoid this simple mistake, and spot this quickly in the future. Let's look at the other lines in the script, and discuss what can go wrong. This block of code is a function. The code inside here only ever runs when it is called. The line under here calls the function. If I comment this out, nothing will happen. That's because the function is not getting called. Therefore, the code inside the function won't run. When troubleshooting a function, the first thing you should do is place a print line inside the function on the first line. Run the program and confirm if you are actually getting inside the function. In other words, is the function getting called? Well, we did comment the function out, so we know it's not getting called. Sometimes things aren't so clear, and this is a very useful troubleshooting step. When the function does get called, this print line tells us, at least we are getting to line 1 of the function. And that is very important to confirm that. Because, if we do get inside the function, and still have a problem, then we know for sure that the problem is within the 4 or 5 lines of this function. And that is going to be much easier to fix now. Don't you think? Okay, let's assume we have a bug in our code. And we have narrowed it down to the 4 lines within the function. Firstly, we just ruled out that it's not the function call, and not the function declaration either. Line 3. We absolutely know it's between lines 4 and 7. So let's go through what could go wrong here. This anything variable is really just used to change the button's active status from true to false. Not much could go wrong here unless the variable is named incorrectly. Since these lines are not really that important to the value increasing, we can comment them out for now. So if you still have a problem with your code, let me explain the last 2 lines of this code, so you can troubleshoot it yourself. This is a local variable that we are creating. Here it is storing the value of the counter text. Like before, we can call the variable anything we want. When the variable is underlined, that's an error. Think of it this way, the variable stores something in memory that we can refer to later in the script. When we want to use it, we must use the correct name exactly. In this case, we are trying to add 10 to the current value of the counter. The variable I just called anything2 is actually holding that value for us. Okay, so what does this script.parent stuff mean? In this case, I want to refer to the image label which I placed inside Taps GUI. So this is the structure, like the folders on your computer. The one above is the parent, the one inside the other is the child. It starts with the script, because that's where we currently are, in this script. The parent of this script is the clicker GUI. The parent of the clicker GUI is the starter GUI. This time it's not a parent, so the script will look for Taps GUI inside the last parent, which was starter GUI. And likewise, the script will look for image label inside Taps GUI. If any of these are not named, the same as what you are saying in the script, it won't work. You can change the names of the image labels. You just have to make sure you rename them in your script as well. Likewise, and as I said before, if one of these has a capital letter and the other one doesn't, it won't work. And it gives that error. Counter is not a valid member of image label. Meaning, there is something wrong with the name of your image label. And it's different to what you referred to in your script. The last bit on this line is .text. It means the current value of the counter text, which is the thing we are trying to store in the variable called anything2. This next line is interesting. This time, we are setting a new value for that counter text. Like before, it goes through the parent structure and finds counter.text. Then assigns it with the new value, which is anything2 plus 10. Meaning, it is adding 10 to the current value of counter.text. In your game, instead of getting the value for counter.text, you might choose to get it from data stores instead. And you may have multipliers in your game that you would like to calculate as well. To do that, you would just need to get the value of the multiplier from data stores, and then use that in the calculation. That sounds like another video I should do. Okay, that's all for this tutorial. I hope this helped. This is the God of Coding at Epic Blockstuff signing off. See you in the next one.